Leo, 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 Leo. So this month is going to be very pleasant in a lot of ways, with its fair share of challenges is kind of a heavy word, but its fair share of stuff to keep in mind to be able to handle any tension that arises in a productive way. So the first thing to focus on is let's focus on the good stuff, and we'll get to the challenges later. So Mercury has been in Aries an inordinate amount of time. Usually Mercury spends about 2-3 weeks in Aries. And why this is really sweet is even with the Mercury retrograde, and we'll get into that, how that's challenging, whatever. But Mercury being in a fire sign, and with you being a fire sign, it's been really nice because there's been a lot of understanding about yourself, understanding about other people, understanding about your power, your energy, how to communicate to other people. So it is about understanding other people's selves, but it's more like, okay, how do I interact with you? How do I interact with y'all? And as a Leo, that's incredibly useful information because even if you're an introverted, very shy Leo, or of course an extroverted, outgoing Leo, it doesn't matter. You are still the sun. You still have that fire energy. You still are the king or the queen or the other or whatever. It doesn't matter. But you're royalty. That's that energy. Now, does that mean you're better than anybody? No, of course not. We're all equal. We're all important. We're all essential. But at the end of the day, this energy is the energy that stands up and says, I believe we should do this. And other people go, oh, okay. They take notice. Maybe they don't always agree, but they do take notice. So something to keep in mind is this Mercury and Aries energy is nice. It's enjoyable. It's helping you to move forward. Just it's really good to keep your ego in check during this time because there is, with Mars and Saturn being in Capricorn, there is a check. So, okay, so here we got, this is confusing. We got Aries, okay, we got Leo right there, right? We got Aries up there, and then we have Taurus right over here. Okay, so these fire energies over here are like any two energies of the same element. They are trine and they just flow nicely together. So Mercury in Aries is saying to you, hell yes, speak your piece, go for it, go forward, don't take any prisoners, you got this. Meanwhile, that Mars in Capricorn is going, hold on, check yourself. Make sure that you're not just speaking for the sake of hearing your voice. Make sure that what you're saying has substance. Make sure that you're creating something, you're being productive with what you're saying and what you're doing. That Mercury energy goes, oh, and your Leo energy goes, but I have all this energy to talk. What do you mean I can't talk? Okay, the solution for this challenge is to find the outlets that you can be productive in. You definitely, your mind is on fire right now. Even if you have a Mercury in Cancer energy or a Mercury in Virgo, okay, whatever, Mercury in Virgo, you're still a Leo and you still have that connection with any fire transit that's going on. So your mind is like, I want to talk about what I want to talk about, veins bulging. Find the right audience. That's the key. And that's really the key for any transit, but especially at a time like this when you're just going to say things without really thinking about it. Make sure you're around people who actually want to talk about that. Because if you don't, you're going to end up in a lot of pointless black holes of energy in which you feel like you have to defend yourself and defend your honor and defend why you said what you said, and or you're going to find yourself in situations where you realize, fuck, I really messed up and now I have to apologize. All of that takes a lot of energy. Now, is it part of the learning process? Sure. Is it another way of moving forward? Sure. But wouldn't it be nice if you just said what you felt around somebody who is also, like has a general understanding or appreciation of what you want to talk about at that moment, and then they say something and then it's like, whoa, I didn't even think of that makes me think of this, and then it's just a nice back and forth. That's the ideal, especially since we have Mercury direct fresh from this last lunar cycle. So that didn't quite come out right because Mercury is still retrograde. Mercury is direct on the first day of this new moon. So what this means is that, yes, communication is about to finally move forward, but the shadow period is going to exist until May 4th. That's almost 2 weeks. So what this means is, and that's a good thing. Every transit is exactly what it's supposed to be. It's a good thing. There's good things that come from it. There's challenges as well with every transit, but the good things are, we need to focus on that. We don't need to be like, because ultimately Mercury being still in its shadow period, and Mars and Saturn and Capricorn are a really wonderful chance for that Mercury and Aries energy to not get too carried away, to slow down. And that's really the key, is just to keep in mind, okay, I have all this energy, but I need to slow down with it. I need to not try and launch it forward at full speed right away. I need to take my time. I need to allow myself to think through a little bit more of ideas and give yourself some space from other people during this time. Especially people who have a lot of Capricorn. There's nothing wrong with people with Cap, but especially during this time period, they're going to be going through their own challenges. Um, and ultimately, we're all experiencing a lot of Capricorn energy right now. So it's good to keep in mind, even with somebody who was a great audience yesterday, they might not be the best audience today. So it's something to gauge. As naturally as a Leo, if your heart is reaching out to other people, you can gauge where they're at really beautifully and quite easily, actually. So just gauge first, then speak. Especially up until about April 24th, and then Venus will go into Gemini. It'll become a lot easier, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that. But especially since Venus is in Taurus, the Sun will be in Taurus starting April 19th. What this means is there's going to be a lot of not opposition. There's going to be a lot of tension from people if they don't want to talk about what you want to talk about, or if they disagree heavily with what you're saying. So some space is good, just to think through things. And that's, to be fair too, there are going to be certain ideas that come during this time that are really exciting for you for a day or two, and then after a while you're like, I'm over that, I don't want to talk about it. But if you insist on talking about it with people who don't want to talk about it, it's going to be difficult. So especially after the 24th, will it become easier to communicate with others and to be able to get your ideas across and to be charismatic in your royal regal self? Yes. Is the potential to speak too quickly and too soon and say things that you don't quite mean and kind of say it as a joke but it comes out really mean? Yes. So let's keep that in mind. Let's just keep things nice and flowing and breathing, and just keeping in mind that I know that it feels like you have to tell all of your ideas right now, and that's a beautiful thing. It really is a beautiful thing. But it's not quite the right time. Some of these ideas you're going to be able to share in future times when Mercury goes into Taurus, when they become a little bit more stable, when they get a little bit of a practical check and go, okay, how good is this idea actually? Like when I was inspired, it seemed like the best, but our inspiration can sometimes be a little bit misleading. Is it worth it always? Definitely, but it can be a little bit misleading. So it's good to keep in mind that a little bit of time to check some of these ideas, these beliefs, what we want to say, what we feel like we have to say, that's going to be good. Now, if you feel like you have to say it, that's a whole other thing. But again, check into your heart, check with your compassion, because it's been a tough time. Mercury's been retrograde, so we've all been kind of like, wait, what the fuck? And we're going into a lot of Taurus energy. So for you as a Leo, this is a little tough, because this is the time of year that you're like, okay, think of it like this. A full moon is when the sun and moon are opposite each other, right? And we have it every month. It begins with a new moon, the sun and moon are together, okay, and now we're at first quarter, okay, now we're at full moon, okay, and now we're at third quarter, okay, and now we're at the new moon. Now the sun does the exact same thing. So here we have our natal sun in Leo, right? Now we're going this way. I know we'll go below the screen real quick. Goes to Scorpio, first quarter. It goes to Aquarius, opposition. It's like the full sun, if you will, full moon, full sun, where the sun is opposite your sun. So you just experience this. That's the time of a culmination. It's time of a lot of intense feelings, a lot of intense thoughts. It's basically the seeds that you planted with the new sun, if you will, around actually on your birthday, when the sun in Leo is conjunct your natal sun in Leo. That's when 6 months after that, when the sun was in Aquarius, that's when it reached a culmination and things either came together or they didn't. And then you can just learn from that, because all of us are always learning. It's never like we have the perfect plan. And so it's like, oh, okay, I got that done and I figured out that, but I didn't quite get that done and I didn't expect I had to get that done. Stuff like that. So that's where we're coming from. That's where you're coming from the sun in Aquarius. Now, we've been moving since then. The sun was in Pisces, is in Aries right now, and then it's going to go into Taurus. So this is so confusing. There we go. Okay, and there we go. So they're square each other, these two energies. From the perspective of the Earth, they are square each other. And so for you as a natal Leo, this is a time in which a lot of outward resistance is going to occur. Now, I'm not talking about like outward like bullying and just like straight up harassment or negativity. I don't mean that. But there is going to be people going, wait, what do you mean? Or like, wait, how does that make sense? There's a lot of practical energies out there that can be very helpful during this time. So it's good to be humble and, as always, and be like, okay, well, this is what I mean. I'm trying to convey to you, and I'll do my best. And I feel this, and it's okay if you don't agree, but this is what I feel, and this is what I'm doing with my wife, and this is, again, this is what I feel. Focus on that, what I feel, instead of what they think. Because a lot of people, for better or for worse, and again, there's some good stuff, some good practical checks of, hey, well, you want to do that, but you should do that to then be able to do that. For example, you want to be able to make that speech, but maybe you should practice it a little bit more. Don't go, the better way is to just go, okay, I've heard you. I'll feel that out. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But I'll see. Maybe I'll follow your advice, maybe I won't. But be humble about it. And on the other side of things, there are going to be some just outright challenges from people where there's like stick in the mud, lower energy Taurus, whatever their sun sign may be. This is what we're all going to be experiencing, these energies, this hat, this mantle putting on, and it's going to be Taurus. And some people just be negative and be like, you can't do that. Oh, okay, well, watch me. That's basically the energy. Is don't get too focused on what other people say, what other people think. Just focus on your own thing. And again, that's true for any cycle, but especially for this lunar cycle. One last little thing. Mars will be going into Aquarius on May 16th. That's super exciting. We'll talk about that in future editions of New Moon News, especially this next one. That's a huge, huge thing. Going back to the whole, full moon thing, I guess this is like your full Mars. When when Mars was in Leo conjunct your Sun, it's now going to be going into Aquarius. So that's really exciting. We'll get into that. But long story short, this is a year of transformation, deep transformation, going deep within. We have Jupiter and Scorpio retrograde at this point. So just ask yourself, okay, who am I at my heart? Who have I always been? How do I access my inner child again? How do I get my inner fire to flare up in a beautiful way instead of a challenging way, either in unnecessary ego challenges or anger, stuff like that. This is a wonderful year for growth and transformation, but it does take a lot of introspection during this time. So take the time to know your heart more fully, and it will reward you. Infinite love to you, my friend. Namaste.